What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I wanted to remake this video. I had uploaded it, well, 90%, and realized that I had Spotify on in the background. Don't need any more copyright ID claims. I know YouTubers get enough of that shit. I actually got one for a cover song, and I realized cover songs do play with an area of copyright, but not like we're trying to steal music. We're just playing some good tunes, you know, giving them full credit and whatnot, and not monetizing it. So I don't know. I've got two content ID claims myself, but I just wanted to avoid any music playing in the background. So I'm gonna re-record this video. It's gonna be the build video for Unhallowed Essence set, one of the strongest and actually laziest builds you can have, and it's why I love it. You guys should try it out. It's absolutely destructive. You don't really have to pay attention too much for farming. Greater rifts, it does up to 75. I think right now I've gotten up to 75 and haven't had too many issues. You do have to pay attention a little bit more, but just to start off, let me show you exactly what it's capable of before we get into the build. I will put the build, when I start the build, in the video. It'll probably be around like 3 minutes or 4 minutes. I'm just gonna run through the channeling pylon. Channeling pylons are exactly what you need to be destructive. I mean, you don't need them, but when you get them, you can just literally spray. You don't have to worry about anything. Watch. You just literally don't have to worry about anything. You fire off your vengeance there, and everything's dying. This is Torment 10, right? Normal rift. There's a set of champions. Well, there was a set of champions. They are dead. So Death's Breath, awesome for collecting Death's Breath. Absolutely shreds champions in T10. You have pretty close to 100. Actually, yeah, you do have 100% uptime on Vengeance. So you look at your hatred never really goes down. Now I'm not even playing safe. Every time I vault, I'm losing damage, because I'll explain that in the build. But like I said, you don't even have to really pay attention. You don't even have to use the build unless you're doing greater rifts. You don't even have to use the build to its full capabilities, and you still absolutely destroy things. You absolutely annihilate everything. I'm already at 22%, and that wasn't even a how do you say it, like an open pit type rift. This has kind of been more of a the alleyways, the tight quarters. So when you get into an open pit normal rift, holy shit, you get to 50% in probably the first 45 seconds. You just start spraying. But as you see, it's good for bounties too, because you can just roll, you can look at the mini map and just roll with vault. There goes a champion. I didn't even see him. Fire off preparation, you're back up to full, close to full discipline. But yeah, as you can see, the movement is on it. It's very, very fast. It's lethal. It's just great for everything. Everything from rifts to farming to just speed bounties, anything you can think of. So, I wish I could show you a boss, a rift boss, because it is pretty impressive how fast. But whatever, we'll call it quits there. It kills rift bosses in 3 hits, so that's all you need to know. And now let's get into the build. First, I'm going to start off with your weapon, Yang's Recurve. You want Ancient, if you can find it. The DPS is considerably higher. The higher you get your damage range there, I've rolled mine because I got this Ancient and it was a low damage range, and that's kind of where you want to start off as your highest point. That's going to give you your most DPS. And then I don't even have a full 10% damage boost there. You want to try to get that as well. And then on every piece, Dexterity, Vitality. Okay, I'm not going to say that. I'll try not to say that throughout the build. Just Dexterity and Vitality, as you can see here. And then you want to get this weapon with maximum discipline. This is absolutely important. Okay, maximum discipline, 12 is the most you can get. And now you want to get 12 on your weapon, you want to get 12 on your chest, and you want to get 12 on your quiver. Okay, probably the most important part of the build are those 3 things, these 3 maximum discipline. So moving on, you want to get a ancient weapon without a socket, and then once you do that, you've maxed your stats. Then you want to go and pick up one of these bad boys from your local drugstore. Kidding, you're gonna have to find it, and it's called Ramalad Destiny's Gift, and it's a socketable. It sockets a weapon, so you don't have to sacrifice a stat to have a socket. Socket your ancient bow. Put an emerald in it. That's going to give you your 130% critical hit damage. Got to be the highest emerald you can make. Moving on. Now, actually, if you just want to take a quick peek at this, I'm going to I don't know why I identified that real fast, but here's your stat ranges on the right there. You can see them. Obviously, you want to try to get your reduces all resource cost to 50%. Mine's only 43. Like I said, I'm not perfect yet, but whatever. Next, we're going to go into the set. You want all 6 pieces of the Unhallowed Essence set. If you want to see what it does, it generates more hatred, more discipline, 60% more damage, and less damage taken if there's no enemies within 10 yards. This is a big part of your build, keeping 10 yards between you and enemies. Next is your generators. So multi-shot and your vengeance, okay? Those are going to be everything you're going to be using. Multi-shot and vengeance. They're going to deal 40% more damage per point of discipline that you have, not your max, but every point that you have. That's why if you vault, you do less damage. If you want to try to keep your discipline full, and also why you want to increase your max discipline so you can have more points for these. Each one's worth 40%. So that's the breakdown of the set, if you didn't already know that, but I'm sure you did. And now let's break down what you should get on it. Dexterity, vitality, like I said. On the gloves, critical hit damage, critical hit chance. Mine's pretty close to perfect. I still need a little bit more critical hit damage. And now on 2 pieces, I did it shoulders and gloves. You want resource cost. I have 8% there and 8% there. That's going to kind of round off your spamming of multi-shot, okay? That's going to be perfect. You can play with the numbers a little bit, but I think 2 is bit off. But then on your shoulders, you also want dexterity, vitality, and resistances, okay? The other big part is cooldown reduction, okay? There's only going to be 2 spots on your gear that you're going to want to go for it. One is on any piece, so you could do it on your shoulders if you want. But I did it on my ring, and I have right there 8% cooldown, okay? So 1 item and the diamond in your helmet. Max diamond is going to have 12.5. Okay, that's all you're going to want on your gear. I'll show you why when we get to the cube. Continuing on, you want your chest, like I said, 12 max discipline key, then dexterity, vitality. I went with armor. There's resistances, but like I said, key. Let's see what this one, maybe this one will be better. Who knows? I haven't even looked at it yet. Hatred regeneration, not as important. It's only got 10 max discipline, so no. And it's not ancient. As you can see, ancient's defined by the gold rim around the item. Okay, just in case you didn't know that. We did the helmet, dexterity, critical hit chance, and I think you can roll multi-shot damage. I don't have it on this one, but I needed critical hit chance is important, and then obviously the diamond with the cooldown in the socket. Next is your Hellfire Amulet. This one's close to perfect. Critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and dexterity. Obviously, it'd be ideal to be ancient, but if not, it's okay. The passive here is Call of the Week. You can have one of 5 passives. Call of the Week, Ambush, Awareness, Thrill of the Hunt, or Ballistics. We'll go through those later, but those are one of the 5 you need on the Hellfire. Ideally, Awareness on your Hellfire would be perfect, because then you can use that Hellfire for a number of Demon Hunter builds. And so just keep that in mind. We'll go through gems after we finish the gear, but there's a gem in there. You want a socket as well. Wraps of Clarity with fire damage. Multi-shot and vengeance use fire, okay? So 20% of fire damage, dexterity, vitality, critical hit chance. Try to get it to 6. And then obviously your legendary stat, try to get that to max, 35. Dead Man's Legacy, dexterity, vitality. The attack speed is generally there, so try to get it max if you can. And then critical hit chance, 10. Also, legendary stat, the max is 60, as you can see there. Obviously, try to get it close to that. That is going to work with your ambush passive. We'll explain that when we get to the passives. And then 12 max discipline, okay? And the last one at the bottom there is multi-shot damage. That's 100%. Try to get that. It's very important. That's 100% more damage to your multi-shot, which is your main firing. Focus and restraint are going to be your rings. Ideally, critical hit chance and critical hit damage with dexterity, okay? This one's pretty good. It has a socket, and you need the socket for the legendary gems on your rings and your amulet. This other ring, Restraint, not as good. You don't need that damage range at the top, but dexterity, if you can get critical hit chance, critical hit damage again on these rings. I have cooldown, so It's going to be harder to do that. I probably should have put cooldown on something else, but that's okay. I mean, you can put it wherever you want, really. And now for the gems, you're going to want Bane of the Trapped, which is going to increase damage against slowed enemies. We will show you how we're going to slow the enemies down. Zanestone of Vengeance, we're already staying 10 yards away because of our set items, our set pieces. So this is also, I think, 10 yards away as well, increases damage. So that's why that's key. It's going to work with your set. And last is a boss killer, Bane of the Stricken. This is going to make you an absolute boss machine, okay, with your multi-shot. Now let's move on to, we'll do Paragon points really quick, just because it's not as crucial that you do these in order, but the order I did it is maximum hatred, so I could spam multi-shot. Dexterity, I'm over my movement speed right now. I just got new boots. I don't need to have all the points in movement. I should only have 11 or 14%, not 25. And then I went vitality last. Okay. Attack speed is not as crucial for this build. It does help, but it's not necessary. You do that last. Cooldown reduction will be essential at the start to keep maximum vengeance. Critical hit chance, and then probably critical hit damage, and then attack speed last. This one, resource cost reduction, helps with spamming multi-shot first. Life on hit, and then area damage, and then gold fine last, obviously. And last but not least, we're going to go with life regeneration is last, so resistance is first for survivability, armor, life, and then life regeneration. Okay, so there's a quick rundown. Follower, we'll do this quick too. Fumulator I have because it was ancient, high damage, and it had cooldown to help him spam his skills more often. And then I had, it turns almost to 500% weapon damage if he pulses lightning on an enemy, which is good. You can use Thunder Fury or whatever you want. And then this is important, Freeze Deflection. Try to get it, I have 0.5. I think that's the shittiest you can do. But if he blocks somebody, sometimes it'll freeze it. Sometimes it'll freeze a boss. Sometimes it'll freeze a pack, you know, an enemy or so. And it'll help you stay alive. Also, the next important part with that is his Amulet, S of Johan, which on hit, he has a chance to pull all the enemies towards him into a pack. And it's going to slow them, which is also going to proc that Bane of the Trapped gem that we have on. And this is just going to help survivability when you're soloing, okay? And then it has cooldown on it as well to help him cool down his skills. The 2 rings, okay, obviously, before we do the rings, equip the Follower Can't Die Relic with chance to block. That's going to help his freezing abilities. And then you're going to want Oculus Ring. It's going to create little rings of yellow that you can stand in and shoot. And on mine, it's 74. I don't know what the highest is. I'm not sure what the highest is, but try to get the highest on that, because when you're standing in those yellow circles firing, you're going to be doing way more damage, which is key. Now, last but not least, Bull Kathos, because he can't die and because he's pulling packs towards him, he's going to be draining life from them, okay? So those are the 2 rings. Now, Follower done. We've got the weapons and the gear done, and we've got the Paragon points done. Let's cap off here with the skills to kind of wrap it all up. Multi-shot with Arsenal, okay, firing rockets. That's going to work hand in hand with Vengeance. Now, Vengeance is a key skill to keep that, with C, the rune C, to keep your hatred at max, because you're going to want to spam multi-shot. That's your main driver, right? With that being said, you're going to want to have Evasive Fire with Focus. People can put the armor one, the 25% armor, but in times of like heavy packs, sometimes the hatred does start to drain, and if you don't quite have 100% uptime on Vengeance due to your specific build at the time, you're going to want that extra 3 hatred every time you click Evasive Fire. To proc your Focus and Restraint ring, every 5 to 6 seconds you're going to want to fire an Evasive Fire. So for an example, you say you're firing your multi-shot, just every 5 seconds, bang, fire a Evasive Fire, okay? It's going to help keep your hatred up, and it's also going to proc that damage bonus from the Restraint and Focus. So continuing on, we've done the 2. This is your major one, multi-shot. Wolf Companion, pretty self-explanatory. It gives you that 30% boost. And Trail of Cinders. Okay, now we're going to get into that with the cube, okay? Ideally, if you don't have a cinder coat, or if you're trying to go for greater rifts, if you want to do most spamming, most damage, and like you don't survive as much, like you're a glass cannon, you're going to want to go Vault with Trail of Cinders. And then when we go over here to the cube, you're going to want to put on Cinder Coat, okay? With Trail of Cinders, you actually spend less discipline per vault, so over time you end up spending less discipline than if you use Tumble. But if you don't have Cinder Coat on and you're going for higher rifts, and you use the Visage of Goons, which gives you the Dark Heart rune, 50% less damage taken, then you're going to want to use Tumble, okay? So that's just a breakdown of that. We'll go over that more with the cube. We've went over Vengeance with Seethe. And lastly is Preparation. This is important. Permanently increase your discipline by 20. This is going to really affect those little 40% increments. Every point is worth 40% damage, right? So that's a necessity. And also when you're vaulting, say you're doing bounties and you're vaulting and you're vaulting and you're vaulting and you're vaulting, and you get to the bounty and there's a pack, you fire off Preparation, you're back at full discipline and you're back at doing full damage, right? So you can see how that works. We didn't go over, I forgot to do the boots and the pants and the belt. They're not as crucial, but boots, dexterity, vitality, movement speed is not as important because you can get full movement speed from your Paragon points. So it just depends on what you get. And then obviously multi-shot damage. I have Chakram here. I haven't rolled anything yet, but you can also get resistances. So ideally dexterity, vitality, resistances, and maybe multi-shot damage. On the pants, dexterity, vitality, resistances, pretty much the best you can do. And on the belt, there's two options. I went with the Witching Hour because it gives you can get a 50% critical hit damage. That's pretty unique. And the attack speed, 70 or 7%. Not as important because you're already getting 50% multi-shot faster attack speed from your bow, but still adds, okay? Still adds to it. But remember, that's also going to suck up your hatred faster. The other option isn't as crucial for this build. It doesn't have the same effect as some other builds, but Zoe's Secret, 9% less damage for every companion, and you have a wolf, so that could give you a little bit of damage reduction. Probably not worth it. Witching Hour is probably the better choice. And lastly, let's go over the cube real quick here. Dawn is the key. You need Dawn in your cube because with that one cooldown item and that gem, it's going to have you at 100% Vengeance. Let's take a look here. We're going to waste some time, but let's take a look. So I have max Paragon cooldown. I have max gem cooldown. I have the 1-8% cooldown, and I have the Dawn in the cube. Our Vengeance ends now. 1, 2. So it's about 2 seconds. You could add another cooldown item to get it at 100%. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, for the amount of downtime, 1.5, 2 seconds. You know, maybe in the greater rifts, if you're using in the greater rifts when you opt out of Cinder Coat and you opt for the Dark Heart rune, which gives you 50% reduction when Vengeance is up, you want that 100%. So you might have to add another cooldown item in your gear. Like maybe switch one of these stats for cooldown, like on your maybe on your shoulders. Maybe get rid of. I would get rid of this resource cost, sacrifice a little bit of resource cost for that. To you guys, like I said, when you're getting to fine tune the build as you get higher. If you want to check out my next video, I'm going to be doing a farming guide and a guide to achieving the end game gear. Once you have your set, how do I make it incrementally better so that I can be doing 80, 90 rifts, okay? And it comes into play when you're thinking about whether you use Cinder Coat or this. When I'm just doing Torment 10 normal rifts, Cinder Coat. You can spam multi-shot. Look at this. It doesn't even go down, and I'm not even using Vengeance right now. Fire Vengeance off. Look at that. You can watch. I'll pull it to max. Look at this. It doesn't even go down. It stays right at the top. So that's with Cinder Coat on, like you can see. So it just makes it more lazy, a more lazy build, right? But dominates. You can do a level 60 rift like that, no problem. So that's pretty much the build, guys. Check out the next video. I don't know if we went over the passives, but let's go over the passives real quick. Ambush. This is going to work with your Dead Man's Legacy. 40% damage above 75% health, and then there's going to be a 15% gap on enemy health where until your Dead Man's Legacy kicks in if you have a perfect Dead Man's Legacy quiver, and then you're going to be doing double multi-shot damage. So ambush is key. Awareness, like I said, is ideal for your just survivability. It gives you an extra life. Thrill of the Hunt is what's going to slow your enemies for that Bane of the Trapped, okay? Every time you fire a multi-shot, they're slowed for 2 seconds. They're taking increased damage from your Bane of the Trapped. And lastly, ballistics is going to increase the rockets from your vengeance and the rockets from your multi-shot. Okay, so the 100%. So those are the items that you want on there. And then lastly, convention of elements on your cube is the only way to increase damage from that point of view, and you're going to get 200% increased damage every about 30 seconds for 4 seconds. So that's kind of a breakdown. I think we've covered it all now. I don't think I've forgotten anything. The last passive, which is on my Hellfire, which is Call of the Weak, if you want to take a look at that, is right here. Increased damage against slowed enemies. Again, it kind of goes hand in hand with your Bane of the Trapped, your Thrill of the Hunt, and you're getting procs from that as well. Okay, so that's the build. I hope you guys liked it. I don't know what I'm gonna do here is if you guys want to stick around for the next minute or so, I will finish off this rift and I don't know, basically show you guys how deadly this rift or this build is. I didn't quite get a chance to show you at the start. I just wanted to show you the lethality of it. Like I said, and right now I'm not playing strategically. I mean, maybe in a greater rift you slow down a little bit and you play at a distance to make sure you're getting your Zays, Stone of Vengeance, and and making sure you're taking advantage of all your procs. But I'm just showing you for bounties and just farming. It's just an absolutely. I'm not even focusing on keeping my discipline up. But I use preparation as it gets lower to keep it at the max. But I'm more concerned. Look at this: Goblin dead, Death's Breath key. Look at this. So I just kind of shows you. It's really a really nice playable build. It's simple. It doesn't require a lot of thinking. The build I'm going for currently, the Fan of Knives build, it is powerful. It can hit 90 rifts, but it requires a considerable more amount of focus and making sure you're proccing things at the right time and you're below 25% health. It's just a lot more thinking involved. It's fun. You should try it out for sure. And it's a great build for farming other sets, right? It's a great build for speeding through T10 rifts, speeding through level 60 greater rifts. See there, I'm out of vengeance, or I'm out of discipline, and I just fire off preparation. I can keep rolling on. All right, we'll get into this next. Hopefully, it's a pit, and we'll be able to fire off a quick rift boss here. Finally, we got some champions. There we go. Let's pick up that stuff. As you can see, like I said already a number of times, just a champion in here, and he's dead. And like I said, I'm at like next to nothing discipline right now, so I'm not taking advantage of my Unhallowed Essence set like at all right now. And I'm clearing T10 rifts like with ease, and with speed too, right? I mean, you're sacrificing every time you vault. You're sacrificing your Unhallowed Essence procced for just a little bit more speed to get through the rift, right? So it kind of. It's a great build, easy to use, don't have to think very hard at all. So let's see if I can get this done here. What are we at? 98, 99 almost. There's 99, and there's the Rift Guardian. Where is he? Does anybody know? He's up there. Okay, so let's go through here, and just to show you. No, he's in there. Okay, so watch this. Oh, okay, well, there you go. So I think I one-shotted him. I'm not on it. I hope you guys liked it. That's the end of the video. Take a look for yourself. Try it out. And I'm going to release a video next time on how to perfect a build like this. How to incrementally make everything better without having to, lose, re-roll a piece and lose your stats. Take a look at the next Diablo video. It'll be up probably in the next day or two, and it'll give you a little bit more farming methods, a little bit better end game methods to get your gear. So as always, guys, stay on the bean. You do you. Live life your way, 'cause that's the way it's meant to be. And until then, cheers, your beauties. you probably have tons of because you pick them up everywhere. The Death's Breath, however, you get from running and killing elites. So running normal rifts, killing elites, running bounties, killing elites.